Well, after 2 months with the Hansshow soft closing and auto present doors, what's my overall impression? Well, I'm Frugal Tesla Guy, and I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. About 2 months before posting this video, I had the Hansshow soft closing and auto present door handles installed on my 2 front doors. Now, during the installation process, it was discovered the plug for the CAN bus was the wrong size, and the auto present feature had to wait until a plug was made. About a month and a half later, the plug was made and I had functioning self-presenting doors. Mostly, but we'll get into that a little later. Now, if you didn't see the installation video, be sure to check it out. Now, it isn't a step-by-step how-to video, but it illustrates the complexity and advanced level of skill needed for the job. I'll post a link in the description below. Now, since I'm reviewing 2 features that can be purchased together or separately, I'm going to break it down into 2 sections. First, the soft closing doors, and then the auto present doors, and then wrap it up with my overall thoughts. To be honest, I had hesitations going with these soft closing doors. In fact, they were offered to me over a year ago and I turned them down. I mean, it's not like the doors open and close by themselves like the Model X, but they function as advertised, and that is to softly close the door without slamming it or putting much effort into it. But once the auto present doors became available, the soft closing doors were offered once again. And I figured, well, since the door panels are being opened anyway, I thought, what the heck, and went for it. Now, granted, they were free, so what did I have to lose, right? Now, since I had to wait for the right size CAN bus plug for the self-presenting doors for a month and a half, I had a lot of time between when everything was installed to the time of this review. So I decided to keep a quote-unquote video diary of my experience, and we start with how it works. So what I'm going to show you here is how they work. Here's how they work. You'll see it just doesn't take much, right? It will close automatically for you and latch for you very softly, and that's kind of the idea behind it. Another neat thing about it is it just doesn't take much to close it. I'm just going to put very little effort. So again, you can see it didn't quite close all the way, but the automatic soft closing door takes care of that for you. And I'm going to push a little bit harder. So you can still do that, and you can still slam the door and it still closes just fine, even if that soft closing automatic latching mechanism doesn't need to come into play. We're looking at the back door, and this does not have the soft closing feature on it. So what I wanted to do is just show you how the door responds upon pulling the lever. Notice when I pulled that lever open, the door popped open immediately and there wasn't any kind of delay. Now let's show you what happens when we go to the front door. This has the soft closing mechanism and the self-presenting doors. So let's go ahead and present the door handle first. I'm going to pull on this handle and watch for the delay. Again, you'll notice there is about a half a second delay. Now that's important to take note, because even though it may not seem like a big deal, it is. It is very noticeable when you're used to just that immediate response from the door handle. So let me go ahead and show you again. Another thing you'll notice here, and of course that's just part of the feature itself, but you'll notice you'll hear more mechanisms, you'll hear more motors when you're opening the door. Again, listen closely as well. Even when you open the door, there is some kind of motor sound that you hear. So let's do this again with the back door. Go ahead and close this first, and we'll do the same thing. No motors, no sound, just the sound of the door opening and no motors. And again, keep in mind, that's something that you have to get used to. If you're going to have the soft closing doors, you're adding a motor. So that's going to be part of the process. So here's another thing that I noticed. Now this doesn't happen on the driver's side, but it does happen on the passenger side. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So as you know, there's got that annoying delay. Now my wife doesn't really have a lot of patience when it comes to opening the door. So with that delay, sometimes what will happen is you may let go of the door handle before it unlatches. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to let go. And you see how it didn't open right away, so I let go. So now what happens is I try to pull the handle again and it didn't even unlatch all of the way. So there are two ways in order to fix this, in order to really get the door open. Is again, you see how I'm pulling, it won't open. So what I've got to do is I can try this. I can do this, and that will in a sense reset it. And then I do it, and then it unlatches and I can open the door. Or, let's do this again. So you can see how it didn't unlatch. Or another thing you can do is close it and then do it again. So there you go. This again only happens on the passenger side. If you let go too soon on the driver's side, it will unlatch fully. But this is where things get a little bit concerning, is that there's inconsistencies within the Hansshow product, and what that does is you have different problems for different doors. So that's obviously something that's concerning, because you want consistency in the product all throughout, even with the issues that you may have with it. So here's what I noticed about the driver's side door. Hansshow supplies a plate to put behind this bracket right here as part of the installation process. Now what Larry Lee noticed upon installing the soft closing door for the driver's side is that it worked better without the plate. So he decided to take it off and just leave it at the factory settings, and it seemed to work better. So let's take you over to the passenger side. What you'll notice is he actually did install the plate on the passenger side. Now the reason he did that is because Hansshow recommends that you do that. So he installed it, and it worked fine when he installed it. Then of course I started running into problems. So then I thought, what would happen if I took that plate off? So I'm going to go ahead and try that. So here is the door or latch without the extra plate. You can see here's the extra plate that I took off, and I put it back on. So let's go ahead and close the door and see what happens. I'm going to do the soft closing feature, just give it a little bit of a push. So the soft closing feature did indeed work. Now this is the true test. I'm going to present the door. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a pull. And the door actually pops open all the way like the driver's side, which is the way you want it to work. So this was the problem. I was having so many issues with the passenger side door. I do want to mention this is at no fault of the installer, Larry Lee, because the passenger side is the door that he installed first. And per the instructions of Hansshow, they recommend that you put this on there. So he did. And actually it worked fine when he installed it initially. Then it was on the driver's side that he noticed there were some issues, so he took the plate off on the driver's side and didn't bother to change out the one here, because again, it worked fine. So there was no need for him to take the plate off. And in fact, he felt better, and I felt better having the plate on there, because that's what the instructions recommended. So that indeed was the issue. And again, it seems to be working fine with the soft closing feature without this plate. So the window does go down pretty quickly when I push the button on the soft closing door, but once again, it's that unlatching where there's a delay. So again, you'll see the window goes down pretty quickly, but again, it's shortly after that eventually it does unlatch. So let's listen to the differences, and you'll hear it when it unlatches. So as soon as I push the button, I'll count to 3. You will then hear it unlatch afterwards. 1, 2, 3. Back door, 1, 2, 3. Again, it is immediate. As soon as I push the button, both the window and the door open immediately. Okay, I've got a serious problem here. The door latch I don't know what's happening with it, but what's happening is the window, as you can see right here, it won't close. So the computer will not see that the door is closed. So you see right here, the window is not going up. So it's indicating that the door is open. I can't get the window to go up all the way. I did try doing this, and that did kind of activate some kind of motor, but now it won't close because it's activated somehow. Yeah, now I can't even get this to close. At one point, this was going up, and it would stay there for about 10-15 seconds, and then it would start going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I couldn't get it to stop, and I don't know if now the motor's broken or what, but it won't go all the way up. The window eventually did go back up by itself. I guess just when I went back in the house, it went back up. Let me see. So right now, they open it. There it goes. Let me get in the car. Okay, it went up. This obviously makes me nervous because now it works and it's fine. Open, close, and everything seems to be fine. So, for now, it's okay. I'll have to see what happens, but for now, I don't know what to do or say, but now that it's working and I can't establish what's happened, so I don't know. Alright, so this is the issue that I had a while back. It says manual door release used may cause damage to window. This is right now what's happening. If you look closely, you can see the window is just barely open here. So when I open it, there's nothing that's activating. So when I open this door, I'll show you here, there's no electronics that are working here. I'm not hearing any electronics. And there's the window right there. See how it won't close. And basically, when you go into the car, I'll show you what's happening. Oh, I heard something. And there you can see it is indicating that the door is open. And the window is still open, but it's still saying that the door is open. So this is the frustrating part. So I'll see if I can get this fixed. So no, I wasn't able to fix it. So last time what happened was I just walked away from it and it ended up going up on its own. So I will hope for the best here. But as of right now, I wouldn't even be able to drive the car because it's showing that the door is open even though it's closed. Also, what's interesting here is the soft closing feature works. So that's working, but there's something that is not communicating to the car that it's closed, and for some reason this window doesn't want to go up. And it looks like that's about the same height as it normally would go down. Let me go on the other side and see if it goes down that far. Oh, look at this. This happened on this side too. Okay, no, it went up. But for some reason that window was down and it wasn't supposed to be. So as I look at this, yep, let's see here, let's go back over here. This kind of looks down further than it normally should be, so I don't know, it's kind of weird. Let's see if I can close it a little bit more. No, it won't go up anymore. Yep, no go. So I checked the app before I walked out here and it showed that the door was finally closed. So yeah, now that you can see the window here, it has fixed itself. So let me see what happens. Okay. Yep, now it's working. Now it's working as normal. So that's weird. Just don't know what to expect sometimes, I guess. So that's the soft closing feature by Hansshow. Now we'll get into the issues I had a little later, but for now, let's get right into these self-presenting doors. Now this is a feature I was holding out for, and I think a lot of people were as well. This is a feature I would have liked to have seen on the car originally. Now there are several ways to make the door handles present themselves. Number one, by unlocking the doors either from a key fob, the app, or from inside the car. You just have to make sure you're either in hold or park. But you can also, while you're in drive, put the car in park and the door handles should present themselves. Now they will not present when you're driving, or at least they shouldn't. Number two, via Bluetooth. When you're approaching the car, it senses Bluetooth on your phone and the doors will present themselves. The only problem at this point is they won't present when the car is asleep. Number three, a simple push on the handle. Now keep in mind, all three of those is how they're supposed to work. That doesn't mean it will work all of the time. So starting at home, since I have my car parked in a garage, I have it set to stay unlocked. And what I've noticed is at home, the handles will present themselves about 25% of the time. This may have to do with the car being asleep some of the time, but there were several times when I know it wasn't asleep, and I still had to resort to pushing the handle for it to come out. Now, what I find interesting is there have been times when I was doing some work in the garage and the door handles would just present themselves out of the blue. I mean, not a big deal, just an observation. When I'm out and about, I've found the experience to be much better, to the point where I can say the doors present themselves a majority of the time without any issues. I also notice the handles presented sooner when walking directly to the side of the car or from behind it. But usually when approaching from the front, it doesn't present until I'm right there. Sometimes thinking it won't, then putting my hand down to the door to grab the handle, and it comes out. It works almost 100% of the time when I leave the car to go into a building like work or a store, and then eventually come back to the car. However, it's a different story when I walk away and then come back because, for example, I'll forget something, and in most cases, it's usually a face mask. Now, in this situation, it almost never presents itself. So I tried a couple of experiments. I'm going to wait for the car to pull off, so we'll kind of look to see when the door is locked. We'll kind of just walk away. There we go. Doors have locked. So let's go back to the car and see if it will present the handles. Go, we're gonna do that. Kind of hard to do this angle here. And nope. No presentation of the handle. I then walked far enough away to the point the phone disconnected from the car, and still no luck when I went back. Now on top of that, I've had some head-scratching moments, like the passenger side handle presenting at odd times. Once again, I am in hold. I did not put the car in park, so I'm not at a stoplight or I'm just kind of at the side of the road, but I never put the car in park. And just a few seconds ago, the door auto presented itself. So I'm not sure why that does that, but there, it just unpresented itself. Interesting. Not sure what's going on here. Door handle is presenting itself while I'm stopped at a stoplight. Not sure why that's happening, but I find that kind of interesting. Oh, now it just unpresented itself. Now this actually hasn't happened for over a week now, because the passenger side doesn't present at all, either by unlocking the doors or approaching the car. The only way it'll present itself is by pressing it. But then, out of nowhere, that I said the passenger side auto present door hadn't been working for over a week, I just put the car in park and I noticed that the passenger side door handle just presented itself while I did that. Of course, now it just unpresented itself because I had to get the camera ready. But again, just a lot of inconsistencies. I don't know when. Let me try right now while we're doing this. I'm gonna lock the door. Let me unlock the door. And look at that. I'm in park and I just unlocked the door. And by the way, the passenger, the driver's side is presenting itself as well. I'll just prove that to you right here. There you can see it has presented itself too. But it's this side that I really want to focus on because it hasn't been working. But now it works again. Let's put it in drive. I'm in hold right now. I'm going to put it in lock. You can see right here. Unlock it. See, now it works. Rhyme or reason, I don't know. Now it works. It hasn't been working with locking it or unlocking it, that is, or even walking up to it. So day to day, I never know what to expect. Okay, weird. When I put the car in park, the door just opened by itself. It seems like every week there's something new with these doors. Weird. Let's see if it'll register as closed when I close it. Yeah? Huh. Let me try to put it in, I'll put it in drive again. It's in drive, I'm in hold. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's weird. It just opened by itself, but of course now that I ask it to do it, it won't, but that was weird. So here's something I just noticed. The door did not present itself, and usually at this location I don't have an issue. Watch this. This is kind of interesting. It hasn't presented itself. Usually you just push it and it'll present. It's not even doing that now. It seems like the motor is not responding or something. You've got the light, but the motor is not. You just give it a tap and it should present itself. It's not doing that. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but now the driver's side doesn't even seem to want to work. It opens, but it doesn't present itself at all, even when you push it. There's also something about these handles that I don't like. When the door handle swings back in, it doesn't line up flush with the car like the original handles do. So this is the front door. I've only got the auto present door handles on the two front doors. So I still have the OEM handles, like this one right back here. And what I like about the OEM handles is it's just a very solid feel. As I push on this slim part, nothing really moves. It's very solid, and it's just got a really good solid feel to it. As I move over to the Hansshow Auto Present handle, here's what I'm going to show you. First, you'll notice here is that it kind of sticks out a little bit here, and then what happens is I can actually push it to make it more flush, but it continues to push in. And I just don't like that. It's got a bit of a cheap feel to it. You see how there's just a lot of play in there? Very loose. It feels cheap. It just doesn't feel very good. And then let's see what happens when it closes. Again, you can kind of see how it doesn't come very flush. Here is the OEM with the handle. Where is it? There it is. There's the OEM closed, right? You see how it doesn't really come out? It's pretty flush. But if we go over here, you'll notice that it's not 100% flush. And again, there is a little bit of that play. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. Hardly a reason to install these. I mean, seriously, how lazy do you have to be? I know, this is more of a luxury than functionality, but if I had to choose between the two, I'd spring for the self-presenting handles over the soft closing doors any day of the week. Like I said, the presenting handles at least provide some kind of added functionality. Now, even though I'd choose the presenting handles, I would choose handles that work. As it stands right now, I plan on having all of the hardware that it was installed removed and replaced with hardware from a different company that has perfected both features. I also know what some of you might be thinking. Why on earth would I do this again, especially after having such a bad experience? Well, first, let me start off by saying it's not my intention to make Hansshow look bad. In fact, they no longer offer the soft closing doors and handles I have on my car. And I can only assume the new ones are an improvement. But I can't say for sure because I haven't seen them in action. Now that being said, I had an obligation to you all. I gave you a glimpse as to how everything was installed and just how difficult that would be, and promised a review once everything was up and running. I had no other choice but to review the products I have on my car, and those products did not fully deliver as advertised. I even told Hansshow shortly after everything was installed that I did not plan to keep them on my car after the review is finished. I believe in total honesty, and I've worked hard to gain your trust in the 2 years I've had this channel. I get it. If someone gives me a product for free, it's difficult to trust the review won't be skewed. But I've always told every company I've done reviews for that even though they're doing me a favor, I'll still be 100% honest in my review by pointing out the good as well as anything that's not so good. Now, the products that were reviewed in this video are expensive. The hardware alone is $1,200 American dollars. And to have them installed, and trust me, unless you're extremely handy, you're going to want to have them installed by a professional. But that would be another $850 to $1,000 for a grand total of $2,050 to $2,225 American dollars. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was shelling out that kind of cash, I'd be extremely upset with the person that recommended these products to me. Now, as I said earlier, I can't speak for the soft closing doors and self-presenting handles Hansshow is currently selling, but I'm sure someone else is in the process of reviewing those as we speak. But in the end, when it comes to something as precious as your Tesla, you deserve the best your money can buy when it comes to aftermarket equipment. So I can't, in good conscience, recommend the soft closing doors and self-presenting handles I have on my car. As I said, I plan on having all of the hardware removed from my car and have it replaced with the hardware from a different company. It will be a work in progress and will probably be about 2 to 3 months before that actually happens, and I will, of course, have a full review when I get that done. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments section below. And thank you all so much for watching, and you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and stay positively charged.